Anywho, now it's time for our business segment. And right now we're talking about the local airline industry. Now we know, of course, right now we're kind of buzzing. A few years ago, if you wanted to fly between Accra and Kumasi or even to get to Takoradi, Chale, you had to, have a lot of money. And, your pockets had to be deep to be able to get across. But now there's a lot of airlines. We have Amtrak Air, Starboard, Fly 540, Africa World Airlines, CityLink. I think they're out of the market for now. But, there's definitely options for people going across the country, and the local airline industry seems to be booming. However, there's been, some issues, of course, fuel hikes. Sometimes there's safety concerns, conditions of the local terminals, and so forth. So we're going to be having a bit of a discussion, Benny and I. And we have with us two resource people who are well-versed in discussing this. First of all, Kweku Enchi Buosiako, who's the Chief Commercial Officer of Amtrak, and also Dominic Ando from the Business and Financial Times. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Okay, so first and foremost, from both of you, I guess you're an industry player, you're also a Business and Financial Times. The realities of it. How is the local airline industry booming? Is everything as it should be?
Oh, well, in terms of the patronage, over the past 3 years, you can say yes, it's booming because you had two airlines, let's say, as far back as 2011.
That was Amtrak and CityLink.
Amtrak and CityLink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the number of passengers were not as high as you have now. It's like over 200% increase over the last 2 years. So in that sense, you would say the industry is booming, but there's always a but. And a big one.
Please, that's where we want to go to. What is the but?
Well, the but, as you said in your intro, you have issues of infrastructure, issues of the size of the market, issues of cost of operation, and several others that make the industry players very worried about the sustainability of the industry, because it's not just a question of the industry booming now, but can we sustain it at the rate that we're going, and to make sure, as you said, safety and security are guaranteed as well. So those are issues that I'm sure we'll go into detail.
That's actually a good point, a good question, and instead of us answering that, let's put that to you, Dominic, because obviously looking at it from the business and financial point of view.
Well, I think with the growth in the middle income level, you realize that there are a lot of people who also have more disposable income now,
right?
And they are choosing to fly. Additionally, you realize that there's a lot of road traffic accidents. People prefer to fly than to drive all the way to Tamale or Kumasi.
Not only that, the roads are deplorable.
Yeah.
Terrible, yes. But then clearly, we can see that the infrastructure lags behind the development we are seeing.
Right.
And then one will argue, okay, why don't the airport company fix it? Over the years, there have been problems. If you look at the airport company, for instance, the amount of taxes they collect from the airlines, some go to support the national budget, so they don't get the full complement of it to undertake various activities. But then now government is saying, okay, give them more than 100%, let them use it to develop the airports and the other infrastructure. But the problem is, the money hasn't been released to the airport company yet.
Right.
So still we have the problem of the infrastructure.
Okay. Now, in regards to the business angle of it, would you say that, I mean, you guys have managed to survive. You're doing well. It's booming. Compared to international flights, we had the departure of Virgin.
Oh, yeah.
Other airlines have considered because of the increases in fuel and the rest. So how is it that the local or the domestic aviation industry seems to be doing quite well, but we don't seem to be having the same fun on the international?
I wouldn't say we're doing so well. I mean, that's why I said it was a big but. The thing is, if you sell ticket at 50 cedis for a 45-minute flight, everybody will want to fly.
Yeah.
And so you have the numbers. But the bottom line for a business person who has invested this money is to be able to make some returns at the end of the day. So you can have a lot of people flying, but the airlines will not be making money. And I've spoken to all the airlines, and I know that everybody's complaining. So we have the same complaints as the international airlines, especially if you talk about aviation fuel. We are paying probably over $1 per gallon more than other countries, even some developed countries, and some countries in our sub-region. For instance, I mean, you can buy a gallon of aviation fuel at Heathrow for, say, $3.32, whereas here, currently, I mean, as of today when I checked, you are buying it over $4 per gallon.
Wow.
And if you look at the size of the market, I mean, the domestic market in the UK, for instance, you're looking at 19 million passengers per year. In our case, even this year that we expect quite a significant growth, you're looking at just around 800,000 passengers.
Right.
For 4 airlines.
Yeah.
You know, so it is growing, but it hasn't reached the point where you would say that the airlines, the businesses, are making enough money that will make it sustainable.
Right.
And that is what formed the basis for Amtrak and Starbull saying that if nothing is done about it and we continue to lose money, then we may consider having to pull out, because at the end of the day, everyone invests to be able to make money.
Yeah.
You know, so there are serious underlying issues that have to be addressed seriously and urgently, because airlines cannot continue losing money ad infinitum.
Is the fight for you guys trying to get the fuel prices down? Are the governments listening? Are they listening to you? Is there any hope?
I think you go.
Well, government actually responded some time back, reduced it marginally.
Exactly.
Was significant somehow, but it was marginal.
For us, it wasn't significant, because if it was, was the name again? Virgin wouldn't have pulled out.
But the truth is, you see, with the Virgin situation,
Virgin was also about timing.
But you see, with the Virgin situation, a different airline bought into Virgin,
right,
and they decided, okay, where to deploy our planes to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And of the Brussels and the Swiss you spoke about, Lufthansa bought into those airlines.
Yeah.
So Lufthansa decided, okay, I want to deploy this one here, we operate here. Well, you can't compete against yourself.
Yeah.
But then with the issue of the fuel pricing too, yes, relatively in the sub-region is high, but then it's also comparatively better than other places in the sub-region. And if you look at data released by Boeing, they did a study just 4 weeks ago. It indicates that it will still keep rising. It will relatively remain
in Ghana
high
or
worldwide
across the world?
aviation fuel.
Why is Ghana paying more though? That was what
in the sub-region. In the sub-region, yes, ours may be more than somebody, but someone else's too is way higher than ours.
Well, but at the end of the day, you're looking at sustainability of your domestic operations.
Yeah.
So if our cost of operations are high, and as we were discussing, even insurance, ramp insurance is now we are being asked to even increase the coverage, and so of course the premium.
What's the reason?
We've not been given. I have not been given any reason why we should insure your car for 1 million cedis or dollars.
Way above the value of the car.
Way above the value of the car, when every aircraft operating on the tarmac has its own insurance and all of. I mean, these are all cost, drivers that we think
it would have been nice
something can be done about it,
because we were expecting to answer some of these questions.
For instance, also, I mean, you have domestic airports that don't have runway lights, and so after 6 o'clock you have to park the aircraft. The aircraft sits there and you pay for it. I mean, let me give you a typical example. If you lease an aircraft like what Amtrak uses for 1 month, you are guaranteeing about 220 hours that you pay for. So if you can't use the aircraft for that many hours and you can't generate revenue it means you are losing money.
Money is wasted.
The aircraft is parked there. You could be flying. The pilots go and sleep.
Yeah. Still
after 6 o'clock, you are paying them, and yet you can't fly because there are no runway lights. And what's shocking about it is that in the past, Starbull have offered to install runway lights in Kumasi. The airport authorities didn't pay attention to it. And I can say that CityLink, actually, you can talk to Captain Teyazu, and I was there because, I was the deputy MD for a number of years, and I know this for a fact. They brought runway lights from Holland, and they wanted to use it, I think, for the Cannes 2008 tournament. It wasn't deployed. they realized that clearing it from the port, because they were not going to use it for anything else, it will cost them. So they offered to the Ghana Airport Company, use your tax-free status to clear these runway lights and install them, because after all, we can also benefit when we install them. They did not do it. The last I heard, the runway lights have been stolen from the port. I mean, that was it.
Wow.
This is how.
For instance, we had the last couple of weeks when the Black Stars were playing. I know all domestic airlines, you were completely jammed. There were flights that were, people were who had pre-booked and all the rest of it weren't getting on their flights. There was a lot of congestion in regards to that. Obviously, these are the small things that could have eased.
The frustration is that there were people who wanted to be able to come back to Accra after the same day after the match.
Yeah, they could.
They couldn't.
Yes, I wanted to be one of those.
Amtrak, we flew the Black Stars to Kumasi, and we had planned to bring them back the same day because they needed to fly to Japan for the international friendly.
Yeah.
Because of the issue of runway lights, eventually the Air Force said it wasn't safe at the time, and they couldn't provide emergency runway lights, and so we should stop the operation, and the Air Force would use their own systems to fly the Black Star. So it was the Air Force that eventually did it. Meanwhile, we are a business, we have an aircraft sitting there. That is not because of runway lights. We lost that, at least that leg of the
I'm
business.
actually fuming here. You don't even understand. We definitely need to get the minister in. What do you know the reason why? Is it political? Is it laziness? Is it because what is it?
So with this one, I would say all the operators, domestic operators, share the same basic problem: infrastructure, this, that. But what I'm saying is that they should come together, possibly establish a chamber that will push and advocate for some of these things before the policy is implemented. Because if you have a chamber, it will push for it.
Well,
I agree with you. I agree with you,
but I mean, to be honest with you, does it have to take a chamber for the authorities to appreciate that we're using business? I understand it perfectly, and it's something we're working towards. Our CEOs have met on a number of occasions, and this is something definitely we will do. But I mean, even if you want to buy emergency runway lights, I checked with a UK company, and I mean, a full component that can be used at the Kumasi airport wouldn't cost above $140,000.
Dominic, let me ask you this question, because obviously with these infrastructural issues and the hardships that our domestic airlines are going through, how foreseeable is a national airline?
Wow.
Well, because you've got the government saying that they want to go back into it. They want to do another Ghana Airways. We already saw what happened with that one. How foreseeable is it when we do already have these obstacles in front of us?
Well, government has said, yes, I want to do it. I want to have a carried interest and then invite other people to also invest in the airline. But the issue here is, which model are you going to follow? The Ethiopian Airways example, the Kenya Airways example, the Lufthansa example. Are you going to allow Ghanaians to buy into the company?
Make it public,
probably an IPO, and then Ghanaians will buy into the company. Ghanaians will probably own most of it, about 60%. And then invite others to own about 40%. Then you can call it a national carrier. But then we need to address the pertinent issues like infrastructure and other things. Going back to the Boeing research they did a couple of weeks ago, they said clearly, yes, aviation fuel price will keep rising. Now the problem is, what are we doing, or the domestic operators doing, to make sure that yes, when it's rising, you still can make some marginal profit. In the industry, the profit is very small, 1 to 3%. You see, and what some are doing, some airlines are doing, is that yes, we get new and modern aircraft, fuel efficient aircraft. Some also retrofitting. Probably some heavy things in the aircraft you don't need. They're taking them out, putting seats on board to make sure that at least they have some money. So,
I agree with you. Fuel efficient aircraft. Look, the ATR 72-500 is a modern fuel efficient aircraft. Okay, and I'm sure when we decide to go West Coast, we're looking at again fuel efficient aircraft. But that's not the only cost components that we're complaining about, because if you can't fully utilize the capacity of the aircraft, then you are incurring costs, whether you own it or you are leasing it. You are incurring costs when the aircraft is sitting there. Again, on the West Coast, as you can see, other airlines are having difficulty in getting route rights to Lagos. Okay, and our government, I mean, so far I don't see using their muscle, their power that they have, the state power to be able to help out. On the Abidjan route, for instance, you have Emirates that seem to have been given some rights that the authorities are finding it difficult to take back. I don't know the details of the rights that have been given to them, but as you know, and you have talked to people in the authority, they are finding ways of going around that issue. The point is, if the domestic operators can, be viable, at the moment we can't rely only on the domestic market. It's not big enough even for the 4 operators. We need to be able to go West Coast and enhance the utilization of whatever aircraft capacities we have. And that is where we need the government to make sure they are behind us, so that the undue and unfair competition that an airline like Emirates offered to Starboard that started Abidjan, that kind of thing should not continue, because otherwise there's no way you're going to be able to compete with Emirates on Abidjan and win.
Yeah. Let me also sort of ask, when you fly to Kumasi and even Takrady, first of all, Takrady, when you're there, you're using the naval base to fly in. When you land at Kumasi Airport, it's tiny, and I know there's a tent outside. At Accra, the domestic, there's a tent. Now, we've been hearing for years that, yes, there's supposed to be an international airport at Pram, and there's plans for it to basically happen. Do you think that's going to happen anytime soon before I become a grandmother? Let's be realistic.
Well, the Minister State of the press address, she said a few things. She was saying that the runway lights at Kumasi will be installed, and then they are extending the runway at Kumasi. That's what they said. Then there's also the talk of upgrading the Tamale Airport,
yes,
to an international airport.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about Pram. So the question is, which one are we doing?
Yeah,
we know there are people on ground in Kumasi.
Okay.
Their contractors are on ground in Kumasi, which created a lot of problems for the domestic operators, because they gave them a timeline and said, okay, we're going to do this work. You should close by 4. You can't fly to Kumasi after 4. But they kept rescheduling. Okay, we do it next week. Oh, it's postponed. But before we realized, they said, it's not coming on. Just do your normal stuff.
Typical.
And it really affected them, because they keep changing
your schedule.
Yeah.
Keep calling passengers. Your flight has been cancelled or rescheduled, and it's
but
all part of.
But then you get the blame for it.
Oh yeah,
the airlines get the blame. We don't know that the government has.
But the point he just made. So when are they going to fix the Kumasi runway? Because we've had a lot of, running battles with the authorities about the Kumasi runway. It takes over 60% of the domestic market, Kumasi, and yet the runway is so bad. Look,
when
I can tell you for a fact. Yes, pilots have had occasions where they land and they see something on the runway and they try to avoid it.
Oh,
we've had instances like that.
Okay, we need to get the minister in on this. I'm serious. We have to continue this.
Reports to the authorities. And look, when we say these things, people, just say, well, it's because you can't compete or this or that. But look, that hole that was captured in the media some time back, if any aircraft had
hit it,
landed into that, we'll be talking a different story here. So these are real life safety issues. So they should tell us, when are they going to fix the Kumasi runway? Because they're not going to install runway lights. When the runway itself is in this deplorable condition. All the operators are complaining about the nature of the runway.
I think it's important that the minister was here. She was invited and she was supposed to come, but this morning we were told that she can't make it, and now I know why. Anyway, carry on.
So let's fix Kumasi Airport, get the runway lights there. Then they can also fly at night and make more money.
But let me give you one other scenario. In Sunyani, for instance, the runway, initially we understood it was they got the distance measurement wrong, and that is what had been published.
How can you get it wrong?
That had been published in all the aeronautical information publication, Jefferson, everything. When we started our recent operations, based on the length of the runway, they calculated that taking off from Sunyani, you could take off with 53 passengers. Now, so at least we were comfortable with that. Then they came back and said, well, it was wrong. Now the runway is, I think, 1,200 meters. So they had to recalculate their takeoff weight, and now we can take off with only 43 passengers. Now, we fly there, we have to fly there, all right, but you can't take the full load from there. Who bears the cost? We do. Yeah. They, all they need to do is just 300 meters extension of the Sunyani runway. Nobody's interested. The runway has had difficulties over the years. Nobody is interested in repairing it. In fact, I can tell you when CityLink was operating there, we used to employ people to sweep on the runway so that the gravel won't cause problems. I'm telling you for a fact. We had to employ people from Sunyani to be sweeping the runway every 2 weeks, just to make sure that you don't have gravel going into the propeller. Now, I mean, you can't operate a modern airline
Like
industry like this.
Wow.
And these are things they should be able to. They said they're going to construct one airport in every region. Well, I would say that's good, but fix the existing ones
first.
and let us have at least efficient operations, reduce our costs, and be viable. Because I mean, I see no point leaving Kumasi as it is to go and construct a new airport somewhere.
It sounds like just promises, like political.
That I don't think is
political
feasible. Why will you
promises
construct an airport in the Eastern region? For instance, Koforidua. You take off from here to Koforidua. Why will you do that?
The drive is
The flight cost alone, the landing, and everything.
The
I mean,
road
it's
is
just
good
here.
enough. It's
Well,
just-
I don't have a problem if they
I'm
would
just
do
saying,
it.
yeah,
Not every
in every
route would be
region.
feasible,
But just
the
make sure
infrastructure
the
should be there
infrastructure
for us
that
to
we
be able to
currently have.
decide if we wanted to, if somebody had the opportunity to, if somebody had the plane for themselves to do it, why shouldn't they be able to do it? You know,
A simple scanner that people can, when people go through
The security scanners.
Security scanner.
Oh, I've gone
You don't-
through it when it's broken.
You don't have one in Sunyani for several years now, and I mean you have a lot of people from say Newmont. Maybe they pack their bags and everything. They're traveling international. They get there and I mean you have somebody who
Going through
goes
their
through
bags.
and scatter everything. But that's not even just the inconvenience. In terms of security, I'll tell you, I've been worried sick every time because you don't have proper security scanner there. I mean,
I'll tell you a true story.
you
A
have
friend
no,
of mine who's
no
an
way of
actor.
knowing if somebody is carrying a letter bomb.
Oh, listen, a friend of mine who's
our
an
security
actor
people
took
detect it?
a replica gun, like the ones we use for movies, totally forgot going to shoot. It was in the carry-on bags. Put it on, got off the plane, goes, oh my goodness. Totally forgot put it, and they put it through the scanner. Nobody noticed. I don't even know the scanner was working at the
Even if
domestic
it's
airport.
working, at least that's fine. But why don't we have a scanner? I mean, in Sunyani,
Wow.
even at Takrady, the Air Force Base, they still use, you know,
yeah,
I mean,
you use,
manual scanning. I mean, at this time when we have a lot of terrorism all over the world, and you are operating without security scanner.
Okay.
Security,
So
that's another area I want
Let's focus on a few things that are required in order for you to, because now you said you've had a word with the government and you've asked them to change a few things or look at a few things in order for you guys to be able to sustain your business operations within the country. What is it that you need to see done in order to continue? And if you don't, what's going to happen?
Well, I would say that I'll look at opportunities first. The opportunity is here. A lot of people are coming here. If you look at Kenya Airways, for instance, they're looking to establish a second hub outside of Nairobi here in Accra. SA is doing the same thing, considering Ghana and Nigeria, and I know they're looking at Ghana. So if there's nothing here, why would they come? And the projections that Boeing study did was that, look, 7% growth in the sub-region. The opportunity is there. But now I'm talking about the domestic operators, need government support and help to do their business. In terms of policy-wise, infrastructure. Even in Nigeria, they suggested, yes, government should help domestic operators acquire their own fleet. Yeah, it has its own problems. But the idea is very good. Can we also take a look at it? If we can also help them in that regard.
Well, if they can't even do lighting
So
from
what was
us,
it you need
That's
to see in
serious.
order for you to...
No, I mean, in addition to what he said, as for infrastructure, very, very paramount. In terms of fifth freedom rights that we've given to international airlines to be able to, take passengers from Accra to Lagos or to Abidjan and all the other places. What we're saying is that once domestic operators start operating on a particular route, those fifth freedom rights, that is Ghanaian resources that have been given to foreign operators, should be withdrawn,
Right.
so that it makes our operations viable. There is no way any Ghanaian operator can compete with Emirates on Accra Abidjan route. The same would apply to some of the stronger international operators operating on the Accra Lagos route. We can fight the ARIC and the Aeros, but if you allow the international operators, some of whom have strong financial backing from home, we're not going to be able to make it in the sub-region. But definitely, any support for all the domestic operators to be able to go regional will enhance our capacities, and that is really where we can make a lot of money, not the domestic operations. And I'll tell you, no airline at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, this year is going to make profit. I know some airlines have set aside about $5 million as provision for losses in this year. So the boom is not translated into profitability yet.
Do you see light at the end of the tunnel? Do you think the governments are going to sit up, do what they need to do to help the industry grow? Do you see light at the end of the tunnel?
The reason we haven't yet quit is because we are playing the long game. We expect that if all these issues are addressed, then there's the potential. As he said at the beginning, if the economy is growing, then potentially you have a lot more people with disposable income who can travel by air. And we expect that hopefully the economy will grow. I mean, the typical example is on the Takoradi route. When the oil production started, I mean, you suddenly saw several-fold increase in the number of corporate, travel on that route. Of course, it has stagnated somewhat.
Is it because most of them have their own planes now? Some of these?
No, not really, because most of them, whether it's drilling or production, some of them have ended whatever they were doing. But I'm using that to say that when the economy is growing and there's a lot of economic activity, you will be able to increase the number of flights because more people will be traveling. We've been working towards opening up the the Upper West region through the WA Strip. We're having some challenges, and we expect government to back us up.
Philanthropy, or my whole plan about being this whole business mogul, I was thinking about BA. Not British Airways, Blanco Airlines. Yeah, Blanco Airlines. See, I wanted to get into the aviation industry, but I'm frightened.
Right now, it's like, has your dreams been squashed?
I don't want my plane to hit the pothole on the Kumasi.
But you need a lot of cash if you want to go into that industry.
Shit, he's rich.
Anyway.
But imagine 1%, 2% profit?
Over 5 years. Not much. But then again, 1% on 2% on millions is also millions. So.
Over 5 years.
But let's continue with what you were discussing.
Yeah, what I was saying is, aviation industry also opens up even particular regions for business. If you want to travel to WA now on a bus, you're looking at 12 to 13 hours.
Yeah.
And the reason that region, for instance, is not attracting a lot of business, if you talk to business people, is because of transportation. I have received several calls from business people and ordinary people who work in WA, for instance, and come to Accra during the weekend, and everybody wants to go there. You have a runway that is, at the moment, better even than Kumasi in terms of the quality.
Wow.
But you need infrastructure to make it safe. In terms of safety and security, you don't have it there. You can have goods or whatever, cattle running across the runway. There are a few things that have to be done. This is where government has to come in, because it will open up that region, not just the region, but even Burkina. We have a border with Burkina, and most people, if they want to come to Accra from Burkina, they have to go around like
with an airport there. Even there are knock-on effects and byproducts.
Our trade between Ghana and the other countries, but most importantly, businesses will be willing to locate in the Upper West region and open up that region. This is a no-brainer.
Job creation.
There's loads.
And this is where, interestingly, I have, senior politicians calling and asking us, when are we operating there? And I keep saying, look,
talk to your
we
people.
have issues.
Talk to amongst
the government were to intervene and make sure all the few, it's not a lot that is going to cost to get these things fixed. We've met with the Civil Aviation Authority. They've come up with the security and safety concerns. Let the authorities help put this in place, and we'll be able to fly there.
Can I ask you something? I'm going to sort of play a bit of a devil's advocate here. The minister is not here, but do you think the government too, they have challenges? Is it a money issue that they can't do this? Why do you think they're not able to do it?
They'll tell you it's money. Everybody has challenges, but you have to prioritize. Because you see, sometimes we see it as, oh, it's the airlines that are going to benefit. I can tell you, it's not always. It's not always
I
that
benefit because we can fly around easier. It's nicer.
It's not always that we make money on all routes. There are routes where you make losses, but we also look at the economic impact.
Just to travel
because,
around.
I mean, our role as an airline is not just to make money for shareholders, but also to help the economy
of the country.
Upper West region, as I keep saying, I mean, I did my national service there, and I know the region. I was auditor for European Union micro projects. I travel around the region. It's one of the poorest regions in the country. You don't have a lot of businesses there. Just open up that, because if a businessman will have to travel for 13 hours to be able to go there, I mean,
it's not attractive.
It's not attractive. This is just one sure way of opening up that region, you know. So I think we need to look a bit beyond that small, you know, lenses of business and profit. I mean, it goes beyond that.
I know when, you know, the talks of having an international airport at Tamale, there was a lot of talk, but I think most people accept that it's definitely a good thing. I want to talk about Takoradi and the fact that they're using the naval base. Is that sustainable? You know, is it an ideal situation that you think they should put up a proper local domestic airport at Takoradi, so that they're not, because you're having civilians and the army in one place. How long can you sustain that?
Well, seriously, it's not the ideal situation. One would prefer a civilian airport.
Well, actually, they've announced that I think there was a recent media publication. They've announced a particular location where they're going to construct an airport.
One around.
And I'll be a grandmother when that happens. Well, I'll be a grandmother.
But then at least we have the Takoradi one now. For now, we using it. They're not as bad as other places. So the little money we have, we say we don't have money. The little money we have, fix Kumasi, fix Tamale, and at least they can start from there. Then fix the other regions. Then you can start operating from there. And I think the domestic operators too must be very innovative. Seriously, with Amtrak, for instance, when you began your intra-regional flights between Kumasi and Tamale, I was very happy. I was thinking, wow, that's beautiful. If you can do the same thing for Kumasi, Takoradi, Kumasi, somewhere else, it will really help. Yeah. And that will also help your numbers, boost your figures and sales.
Well, I mean, the plan is that we want to be able to fly to wherever, I mean, there is an airstrip, and wherever you have movement of people and business. But again, you need the capacity, and you know, sometimes you need to be able to make profit on one route in order to subsidize the other. If we were doing very well on the Accra Kumasi, and we decide, okay, let's make some losses, Kumasi Tamale, Kumasi Takoradi, you can do that. Yeah. But I mean, you can't just
be losing everywhere.
Lose everywhere, you know. Right. And so we will be willing to do that, you know, as probably a corporate social responsibility. As I said, it's not always that you make profit or you make money, but you do it because you want to help the economy to grow. But the key markets have to be, you know, making some money for you to be able to subsidize the other routes.
And one important thing too is the domestic operators, helping them to go regional. That is where the money is.
That is where the money is.
Especially Nigeria. They have the numbers. If you go there, you make a lot of money.
We're almost out of time, though. Obviously, we know about the challenges in Ghana. But when, for example, Amtrak, when you guys fly to Nigeria, or do you fly to Nigeria?
Not yet.
Not yet, but you fly to other places.
Previously, but
so now you stopped.
We are currently working on Lagos. We are almost getting our permit. I mean, because we had a permit previously, but we suspended operations. So,
would it be more lucrative, do you think?
Oh yes, yeah. That's where everybody wants to go. If we can do that, because you can go there after 6 o'clock. So, but of course, it depends on the type of aircraft you're using. The domestic operations, you will still want to probably use the turboprops, which are more fuel efficient. But going outside, you will need a jet. So it may not solve the question of night operations. We will still need to operate in the night here in Ghana, and also outside into the sub-region, in order to make us more viable.
So just one thing. In the West Africa sub-region, the only place you can actually fly and make a lot of money between two countries, Accra and Nigeria. Accra, Lagos, or Abuja.
Mm-hmm.
The other places, Ivory Coast and other places. Ivory Coast, yeah, good, but not like Accra and Nigeria.
Right.
Sierra Leone, Liberia, no.
Okay.
So Nigeria is the main deal.
Right.
You can do the other countries, Sierra Leone, Liberia, but you still have to go to
But
Nigeria.
of course,
And you can make
all of
money,
this that we're looking at, the main thing first is sorting out what's happening right
Here.
here
Home.
on
Then
the
you go.
ground, and then we start looking
Because
at the
I believe
regions,
if you are
not the
stronger
rest of it.
domestically,
Domestically.
you can
We
do
have to
better
be. Yeah.
regionally.
And thank you very much for your advice. I think Blanco Airlines will be heading
Yeah.
to Nigeria. That's where the money making
So
is.
Blanca could
But,
tell Blanco Airlines.
Oh, there's plenty.
You are more than PDD.
You have no idea. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us this morning. We've had quick entry with Siako and also Mr. Dominic Andor. Thank you ever so much for coming in this morning.